I'm supposed to be on a plant buying ban that I imposed upon myself, but I did the most minor of things today, which naturally means that I needed to reward myself with a plant. So I got this Philodendron Billietiae. It's really a pretty spectacular plant. It's really close to the Philodendron atabapanese, however you pronounce it, in terms of its appearance, but the undersides are a different color. They have this cute little orange as opposed to the darker maroon color on the atabapanese, and they have a more like upright and outward growing habit, which I thought was kind of cute. I selected this one in particular because I do pretty much everything in LECA now, or some other kind of soil-free medium like pond, and it was really important to get one that had a nice healthy root system from the start to give it the best possible chance during transfer. So this one I could see the roots were starting to grow out the pot just the littlest bit, and then there are some nice big fat ones in the middle there. So, oh, and one starting to creep out the side as well. So I'm part of tons of online plant groups, and anytime I mention having LECA or doing mostly soil-free, I get lots of questions about the process from people that haven't tried it before. So I thought I would take this opportunity with this cute new little guy, Billie, to walk through what it's like to transfer to LECA and the different steps that I take when I get a new plant. I know that some people recommend waiting a while after you get a new plant to let them acclimate, but I really don't for a couple of different reasons. One, I'm not convinced it makes a whole lot of a difference whether you repot very quickly after you get it versus waiting a couple of weeks. Maybe if you have like a brand new import or something like that that has been traumatized in shipping for a while. But other than that, they seem pretty resilient. And then the other reason is fungus gnats. I had a really terrible problem with an infestation several months ago when my plant collection was starting to get out of control, and ever since then I have been living the soil-free life. So everything is obligatory straight into soil, or straight into, like, not straight into soil. So without further ado, here's the process. This one is in moss, which can be either much easier than removing the soil from a plant, or it can be nightmarishly harder. It just depends on how long the plant has been grown in moss. This one looks like it's been growing in here for a bit, so there's some, maybe it's not too bad. The challenge with plants that have been grown in moss for a long time is that the little root hairs start to develop and kind of grow into the moss in a way that makes it really challenging to remove all of them without damaging the roots. But in general, it's better to have a little bit of root damage than to leave organic material on the plant, because otherwise you can get root rot, cause you to lose the whole thing. So let's set that aside and get busy. So this is definitely the most tedious and my least favorite part of doing soil-free, which is all of the preparation to get it ready and getting it stripped of all of the moss or other organic matter that it's got on it. As you can see, I've been doing this for about 5 or 10 minutes, but there is still plenty of moss stuck in those little roots. And I shouldn't complain, because it has taken me significantly longer to do some other plants and get all the moss and stuff off of them. But I'm going to take this one and actually rinse it off, because I didn't do that when I first brought it home earlier today. Usually I give things a good spray down with either Captain Jack's Dead Bug or a mixture that I make from pure neem oil and Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap as a little pesticide treatment before it goes into quarantine, to make sure that I don't bring any nasty little bugs from the outside world into the rest of my collection. So I'm going to do that, and once the moss is wet down, I'm going to either gently scrub it with my hands or maybe take like a toothbrush or something and just very, very gently poke at it like that. And then depending on how lazy I'm feeling afterwards, I might just cut some of these roots off. And the reason that you can do that is that many of these are probably going to die during transfer anyway. Some of them won't, especially these big thick ones will probably generate other little baby water roots quote unquote, as it acclimates. But if it's really a huge pain in the butt to get rid of the moss from the plant, there's no shame in just snipping a couple of them off, especially if you were going to be doing water propagation between going from soil or moss to LECA, as I will do. So, I'm going to take care of that. I'll have this little dude in water for a couple of weeks at least, until I can see that there are nice water adapted roots starting to come off in a couple of branches from the ones that exist there now. I don't feel like it's going to take very long, honestly. The philodendrons that I have are all really, really aggressively growing in water. Some of them I've forgotten to transfer over for more than a month, and they just seem really happy, so I'm actually a little bit hesitant to move them. But once it's ready, then you can follow up with putting in your nice fresh washed LECA or pon or whatever the other substrate may be, and they become really a lot less maintenance from that point on out. During the transition can be a little bit touch and go, especially if you have a plant that is super finicky. Anyway, like a calathea, they seem to be extra sensitive during transfer, but all of the philodendrons that I have transferred have been pretty hardy and very nearly impossible to kill. So I have high hopes for Billie.